So hi, I'm Andy Tyler, Partner Marketing Manager at Reapit, and welcome to the first in a series of unscripted webinars featuring app partners with apps in the Reapit app market. So joining me today are Ed Mead, co-founder of Viewber, Chris Fife, Viewber's account manager, and David Mann, Reapit's partner sales manager. So good morning, guys.
Good morning, Andy. Thanks for hosting us.
Thank you very much for coming along, and thanks for your time. Good morning. So unscripted, so we're not quite sure what we're going to be talking about in the next 20 minutes. Maybe the good place to start would be just to talk a bit about Viewber, what it is, what it does, and why it came about. That's a nice place to start.
Yeah, okay. Well, we founded it in 2016, so I can't believe we're coming up for 6 years. And just so people who are listening to this know, we've now done approaching 300,000 viewing appointments and inspections. So I think that's a pretty good sign that this works. For those who don't know me, I was an estate agent for the thick end of 40 years, all in prime central London. But one of the problems we used to have at Douglas and Gordon, which was my business, I was one of the shareholders in the business, we used to have 18 offices in London, and the biggest problems we used to have were around getting viewings done at weekends and getting people who wanted to see things at weekends. Our staff were mature, didn't particularly want to work weekends, so we had weekend staff. The weekend staff were somewhat unreliable, and there was only one of them, and they'd only work Saturdays. So my wife, Jamie, and I came up with the idea for Viewber in about 2014-15, originally as a sort of temp agency for viewing agents. We found a business partner, Marcus Tafranti, who said that's a good idea, and we founded the business in June 2016, launched in September of that year, and we now provide backup viewing services and inspections for various sectors of the industry, estate agency, hybrid online agents, landlords, investors, property managers, housing associations, anybody who needs backup really from temporary staff.
And I think I read on your website that you pretty much cover the whole of the UK. Is that true? And if so, how the hell do you do that? Because that's a lot of people and a lot of country to cover.
We do. We cover every postcode in the UK. That includes Northern Ireland. And we do it via what I would describe as a proper use of the sharing economy. The gig sharing economy has acquired a bad name because of Uber and Deliveroo and these sort of court cases, but what we do is offer people, local people, who we vet, DBS check, put on a database. A lot of them have ex-property experience, they tend to be a bit older, and they want to just supplement their income occasionally. So these are not people who are working, this is not a sort of quasi-workforce, these are people who are mature, wanting to have some extra work, and we've got some clever software that enables anybody who wants to use the service to connect with 7,000 registered, 3,000 active month-to-month Viewbers in any postcode.
Amazing. And Chris, as an account manager, I guess you've probably got a pretty good handle on how it's being adopted. I mean, how is it going? It sounds like an amazing proposition.
Yeah, just basically speaking to a lot of high street, so a lot of the office managers. Offices are under pressure on weekends, Saturdays, mainly Saturdays and Sundays, where they have bookings that are going in and they just don't have people to cover them. So a lot of it's out of desperation as well, just to get somebody to obviously get you those appointments on a weekend. So it's really exciting that we can provide that help to offices, and it doesn't have to be a regular service. It can just be a dip in, dip out service. So we're not forcing you for high street agents or any or online agents to use us regularly and put pressure on them. We're there to provide that cover. And I think what's important when Ed was talking about local Viewber agents, I think that's critical as well. A lot of the customers I speak to, our clients, office managers, it excites them that they're dealing with local Viewbers, people from the area that are aware of the area, because it's not just all about a viewing. You want somebody arriving at that property who has a bit of experience and knowledge in the area as well, because a lot of those people that are moving into those locations might be outside of that particular postcode. So our Viewbers are also providing good insights to locations as well.
It's interesting. So they're actually local people, so they will, in theory, know the local area, know the locality, know the properties, possibly.
They are. They're generally within 5 miles of a particular postcode. The appointment will go out to the closest viewer and literally could be a mile away from that particular property. And if it's not accepted by that person, obviously would stretch out further and further until we get a viewer who accepts that particular appointment. But they are local, yes, very close to properties.
And is it just viewings, or do you do other types of appointments
It's
as well?
not. It's not. Obviously, there's a lot of changes that are happening. One example, obviously, with CO alarms for landlords in properties. Obviously, there's a lot of changes in the industry. We're not just obviously doing, even though viewings is our bread and butter. If you look at our reports, we are doing CO alarm tests at properties. So we provide a report at properties, and stuff like that is going to be a need for officers going forward, because there's requirements that are coming in, and just to think about, it doesn't make sense for every office to keep a database of providers in an area where you have Viewber who are basically have local agents who can provide this function of alarm testing in properties that are local, and it's literally just booking the service in through the portal and getting your report back. So that's just one example of services. But we obviously are concentrating also on the rental side for inspections. We've recently relaunched professional photography. Another example is we've got photographers all over the UK. Your local agents don't have to keep databases of professional photography, especially when they are expanding out into areas. Here you have Viewber, we have existing professional photographers that you can just book in through the dashboard and get consistent photography. So it's a whole bundle of services. I think more than 20 services we offer clients at the moment.
Sounds really comprehensive, and now you've joined the Reapit family, so you're part of our ecosystem. You're involved in that. For those people who don't know much about the AppMarket and Reapit and how it all connects, David, perhaps you'd like to just put a bit of color on what the AppMarket is and how that all works.
Yeah, of course. So I guess really it's that joined up approach that Ed kind of mentioned at the top of the webinar. Really, it's about enabling our prop techs, our third-party suppliers like Viewber, so it's easier for the Reapit agent to actually just go in, use Agency Cloud, and pull out essential information. Obviously, whether it be a viewing, an inspection, an alarm check, which Chris mentioned there. So there's no double keying of information. I mean, I think there's some statistics out there that the average agent has between 20 and 30 different prop tech suppliers, which is absolutely nuts. So I guess what it is really is that single sign-on whereby you don't have to remember 25, 30 different passwords. We use Reapit Connect, which is basically a lot like you'd probably see, on your normal iPhone, whereby you download a new app. They might say you want to log in using your Facebook credentials or your Gmail and what have you. It's just making people's lives a lot easier within our space. Viewber, a great example of, obviously not steal the guy's thunder there, but it's the only provider of its kind in the app market. Again, a question for Ed or Chris, really. Do you have any competition in this area? I don't think you do.
Well, Chris mentioned a couple of services there which we provide. We've got a lot of our viewers they go onto our online academy. They can upskill themselves and they can learn new skill sets and then make themselves available for work. So, for instance, professional photography. We do a huge amount in the auction sector, for instance, and we take a lot of pictures for catalogues. That is not what you call professional photography. That's more just giving people an idea. But people can upskill themselves to go and do these reports for alarms and other stuff. So the fact of the matter is there are an enormous number of different things that people can do, and we just want to make people aware that they can now. Actually, I'd rather sort of change your question around and ask more about why more CRM systems aren't more like you guys. I think it's incredibly frustrating in this market that there are people who aggregate agents like you do at Reapit, and you're obviously, I think, the biggest, certainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest, provider of CRM services to estate agents. And it's a great shame that there isn't some sort of universal translator that allows any PropTech system to be plugged into any CRM system, because it really is very frustrating. Not for us as PropTech suppliers to go out and canvass every single CRM system is incredibly frustrating, because they all have roadmaps, limited development potential, etc., and they say, yep, fine, thank you very much, great service, but we've got loads going on, come back to us in 6 months. And so your question about competition is, it's relevant, but the straightforward answer is no, there isn't anybody else who's doing directly what we do. But of course, what Viewber does is to very simply connect people with a whole range of services, like Chris mentioned, 20 services and more, very simply via an online platform. There's no emailing, there's no telephoning, there's no chasing up. It's all done through a simple platform. So whilst one side of it, which Andy was referring to earlier, which is the 7,000 people. Sorry, I'll stop waving around this knife in a minute. The sort of thousands of people all over the UK is one bit of it, but the software that connects you to them, for Reapit customers to be able to go straight onto that software and book these people is, I hesitate to use the word revolutionary, but it's about bloody time, frankly.
Let's talk a bit more about that, because so for those people that don't know much about the Reapit AppMarket and Agency Cloud, it would be good just to explain what that experience is. I'm a user of the CRM, and I want to get involved with Viewber. How do I go about making that happen? How does it connect up to Agency Cloud, and then how does the information travel from one to the other? David, do you want to dive on that one?
I guess from the, and I'll start with this. I mean, from the first point of view, it is a lot like, if you've got an iPhone or, or Android phone, first of all, you need to install the app. So, that's the first point of call. I'm sure at that point then, the direction of travel will be that a lead would go, or an email or an alert goes to Chris then, and obviously the team at Viewber will give credentials for the system. And I suppose Ed or Chris at that point then, what's the process at your end? What have you seen so far?
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, Chris will fill me in if I'm saying anything wrong here, but it's effectively giving people a single sign-on. It's the lack of having to double enter stuff. That's what agents, I'm not for 1 second saying estate agents are lazy. I was one for nearly 40 years, but the minimal, or the less stuff you have to do, or the less barricades there are in the way of using a service, the easier you're going to find to use it. So from our point of view, once they've come on with Reapit, they simply access our system. They are effectively signed on, and most importantly, the properties that you have on your system will be available to book on straight away without having to double enter those as well.
Yeah, I think what's important as well is that obviously we've got existing clients that are using us already. They're also able to obviously merge, sign up obviously through Reapit, and what we do is we merge their accounts as well. So it's for existing users of us that are with Reapit. Obviously go ahead and start capturing appointments to Reapit, and also obviously for new clients that have never used us before.
So we've got a proposition which is obviously a really powerful one. We've got a CRM system which is connecting to it. So if you're an Agency Cloud user, you'll be able to literally dive straight into Viewber and then have that single sign-on relationship. So those are great. What does it cost?
Obviously, that's the bottom line. I mean, effectively, from our point of view, a basic service of any sort is about 30 quid. We've done a lot of research over the years that show that when you send a negotiator out to go and do a viewing, the cost is between 30 and 35 pounds. The lovely people at Purple Bricks years ago did some research which showed that actually people will pay up to sort of 35, 37 pounds 50 for a viewing, and that sounds like a lot. What people don't understand is that they tend to look at the cost rather than the value it produces, especially in a market like this where you're probably very short-staffed and very, very busy. You've got a combination of COVID and a very busy market. The idea that you can make an extra £2,000 or £3,000 by doing a couple of extra viewings over the weekends needs to be looked at as a much more positive way rather than thinking about the cost of the viewing. So effectively, if you wanted, for instance, an hour's open house, that would be £40. You can get, 7 or 8 people around in that time. So the best use of Viewber is to try and look at it efficiently and book people. You can book people by time as well as per appointment. You can book inspections. I would strongly advise anybody who's listening to this who thinks, hang on a minute, I'm short-staffed, in whatever area of your business it is. It doesn't matter whether it's someone going out doing inspections or whether it's someone covering viewings or whatever it is. If you employ weekend staff and they're a bit of a pain to manage, go and download the app in your agency cloud in your dashboard and go in and have a look at those lists of services. And the moment you sign up, you will receive a telephone call, some sort of a telephone call, probably from the rather fearsome looking man in the bottom right of my screen at the moment.
Brilliant. I think that's it's a really interesting, as I said, it's an amazing proposition. It's great that it's connected to Agency Cloud, and it sounds like it's going to go from strength to strength. Before we close, is there anything else that Ed or Chris or David you feel you want to add to this that's of relevance? I mean, this is your opportunity to talk to our prospective customers and partners, and anything that you feel is of relevance.
I'd like to add just one thing, which is that we are not trying to take over the viewing world. We are here to add to what you already do. We want to cover the things where you find difficulties. As life goes on, more and more people are busier and busier. They're going to be working. They are tending to work 6 days a week. They only have 1 day a week to go and look at properties. The days of saying, I'm sorry, I'm not open tomorrow, can you see it on Tuesday afternoon? Those days are coming to an end. Why not give potential customers the opportunity to view things 24/7, and when you go out and try and win listings, turn around and say, we offer a service which enables people to see your property 24/7. That's a winner.
Superb. Thank you very much. Gents, thank you very much for that this morning. Very interesting. And I'm sure you're going to go from strength to strength. So my thanks to the three of you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about this product offering, you can do so on our website at reapit.com/foundations/partners. And if you're an existing Reapit Enterprise client and are interested in installing the app for your agency, just simply contact your customer success manager. As with every app in the app market, installation just takes seconds. So that's all for this episode. Hope you found it useful.